Hello.
Good evening, everyone.
Is this thing on?
Are we here? Is this for reals?
On the reels? And are we back?
For really though? For really though?
Okay, so I've taken a pretty good sabbatical.
Is that what that was?
Mhm. Mhm.
Dr. Ben would like that. I hope you're watching tonight, Dr. Ben.
Dr. Ben, I hope he's watching.
He took a year sabbatical a few years back. Not a few, a little bit more than that, but he took a year off.
From life or just from school?
So I know we only know him as that cologne guy, and everybody in the world loves him as that, right? But his day job, that's his superhero gig. But his day job, he's a professor. He's a professor of linguistics in Illinois State University. He's got
I've never had
tenure.
linguine before.
That I don't think is what I said, but if I did, then he would definitely be that. And so, because you remember, he also speaks. He's got his degree in. He's got a PhD in linguistics and
a minor in
no. What's that language that he does his videos in? The third language, Portuguese. Yes.
Hi, Sylvia Jennings. Welcome to the show. Carrie Patton Jackson. She's here. Sheets and all.
CPJ.
Yay.
Look, can I show you the cover of the new comic that I got? It's so appropriate for the season.
Is that Santa Claus? I can't tell with the glare.
Yeah, it's Spawn dressed up.
Spawn Claus?
Spawn Claus.
Spawn Claus.
There we go. Anyway, I like showing this off.
I love that you like showing it off. You should totally get a Spawn tattoo.
No.
I
wouldn't mind it. I saw a killer tattoo today that someone posted up. Their entire leg, Spawn on the upper half and Wolverine on the bottom half. But I'm not even kidding. So I was like, I would not mind having that on a cover of a comic for me because that looks slick.
So I almost had an appointment with Sexy Legs today, and I was going to take a selfie with his leg. I was going to the CPJ's like, he's not there anymore. And I'm like,
dang it.
But anyway, we are back. Be sure to hit the like, the heart, the care, the laughing.
Care Bears.
Just don't get the angry face, but whatevs, okay? Anyway, it's good to be back. This week, I'm not sure
if it'll be forever.
I'm not sure if it'll be forever, if it'll be continuous, just because we're busy. But we do have a jam-packed hour, and I'm really excited about it. But
yes,
first things first, especially if you're hitting us on the replay, always make sure you put that you're hitting us on the replay in the comments. But I want to talk to you about the Pineapple Project, okay? Let's get that out of the way first. Because we've partnered with Christmas is for Kids, and that is to collect toys and gifts for our local kids in the foster care system. So my show, Sandy Talk Sheet, and we have a couple of things going on. So I have this awesome raffle decor, and second, we have our Lubbock Fit Fun Run. Today was technically the last day to secure a shirt, but you can still sign up for the race. Okay. So
is it the same shirt as last year?
Say that again.
Is it the same shirt as last year?
I believe.
Like, do I need to get a new shirt, or am I okay with the one that I have?
No, you're okay with the same one. It's just going to be like second annual or whatever. Awesome verbiage.
It's a variant cover. If it's a variant cover on the shirt, then I need to get a second.
I don't know if it's. I don't know what CPJ has in stock. Okay. So look at CPJ says he can pose that leg for you. Oh my gosh, say it ain't so. Joe Baker is in the house.
I was talking to him earlier. Joe, I'm gonna tell him so I was talking to him because I was like, I want a camera lens. Which one? He was like, what's your budget? I told him my budget. He was like, you probably need this is probably the cheapest one you can find. And it was like quadruple or septuple the amount that I was looking for. And I was like, nah, that's okay, man. It's okay. I'll just mess with you. We'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye, scammer.
But anyway.
So if you can, please donate, sign up, and help us make Christmases for Kids a success this year. And if you can't do any of the signing and don't, just share my post, and because a share goes a long way. So, anywho, now that we got that out of the way, we are here to talk some sheet, aren't we, Jamie? Because that's what I do best. You should keep that up there. There's like no change whatsoever.
Let me tell you something.
Okay, so have you watched anything true crime lately?
Let me think for a minute. So I've kept up with a couple of stories that you and I have been talking about, just
Yes.
And that's okay. So guys, I don't come on the show to talk about true crime per se with Sandy.
No, you don't.
I'm here because I am very interested in the mindset of people who do crazy stuff like killers. I don't like knowing what they do, but I am definitely interested. So being married to a marriage and family therapist, my wife has got her PhD in marriage and family therapy. I am always interested in the psychology of people. And so when it comes to murders and things, that's that intersection where I'm like, I don't want to know what they did, but I want to know why, what was going in their mind. So that's what I like to hear about is that part. Hey, TC. And so in the stuff that we've been talking about recently, Sandy, that's the stuff I've been looking at. I've been thinking to myself, I'm like, what is the, what is the mind playing out here in this scenario? Why do people act the way they do? And all the people that are associated with that people, how do they? And so those things, I read stuff on that kind of stuff, and I'm all about that. So
on that same vein, let's talk about this for a second, because I watched a show. It's on Hulu. This is one of the ones that I'm going to talk about. And a lot of people just have that look in their eyes. They have the crazy eyes. You know what I'm saying? And you can just be like, this mother trucker, he didn't kill
away from him,
right?
Yes, yeah.
This guy in this particular case did not, but let me read some comments, because CPJ says maybe he still has that California Goslings he can send you, Jamie. Haha, kidding. Unless he wants to send it to you. CPJ says, I'm interested in knowing what they do too. Oops. I have to double check myself on occasion. Oh, the sociopaths, why they do it? I know.
Yeah, so sociopath, if y'all,
we're obsessed.
I hate it. I'm obsessed. Yeah. When it comes to sociopaths, my mind just, I'm like, oh my gosh, tell me more.
I know, we want to hear their psychoness. Anyway, yes. Okay, so usually, like when I'm on a road trip, this is when I can get my show stuff done, because like I can't be walking away from anything, so I'm going to be focused. So this weekend, when we were on our way to Waco, I started watching The Killing of Jessica Chambers, and it's on Hulu. I believe it's 6 episodes. Crazy.
It already gives me chills when you start saying this stuff.
Crazy interesting. Okay, so let's talk about this. Jessica Chambers. She's a 19-year-old girl who was burned alive. Okay.
God.
And she was once a popular cheerleader in high school, and then she started rebelling. She started doing drugs and allegedly selling drugs as well. She started hanging out with the bad crowds and all that good stuff. Not the best way that she could have gone. So the last phone call that Jessica would make would be to her mama, and then firefighters respond to a car on fire. Jessica somehow manages to walk towards firefighters with 93% of her body badly burned. 93%. Okay. And so EMTs describe her as that she looked like a zombie walking towards them. And several people ask her, who did this to you? And she responds with either an Eric or a Derek. And when I say several people, it was anywhere from 8 to 10 people that heard her say Eric or Derek. And so one of the EMTs also noted that a very suspicious person was in the crowd and described as someone who looked right through him, and he was staring intently at the burning car. So if you know anything about true crime, a lot of times the what am I looking for? The murderer, the killer, usually like comes back to the scene, and just injects himself into the scene. And so anyway, so that was like a person of interest for a little bit. But after, according to the police, they interviewed all the Erics and Derricks in the county. Quentin Tellis becomes a person of interest and also becomes number one suspect. So Quentin, when he's being interviewed, they ask him, "Hey, Jameed, thank you for hopping in here."
What's up, Jameed? I'm glad to
CPJ's.
see you out. Sorry, Jameed.
Yeah, so
he
you said
was off
Jameed.
for a little. I don't
Yeah.
know. He was
Yeah.
off for a little bit, and I good to see you earlier this week. Over on Weedat show, man. So good to see you in the comments tonight.
Oh, I'm sad I missed it because we were out having dinner. But man, I had so much football to talk about, Jameed. But anyway, did you see Chris Watts' TikTok thing with the kid walking in the background?
I saw that.
Yes. Is it
You showed it to
which
me.
one? Yeah,
You
but it
showed it.
turns
Yeah.
out it was somebody else.
Oh.
Somebody else on that one. I think it wasn't like a scary one.
So one explanation I heard was that someone else's kids
It was
were in the
somebody else's
house,
kids that were in the house, I think.
but I didn't hear that was definitive either. I just heard that was maybe.
Well, it's crazy because they were letting them walk through there.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
walk through the scene. Jimmy, which one's a complex story? You or the story we're talking about? So anyway, Quentin is being interrogated and he denies being around her. He denies sleeping with her. And he also deleted her number and all her texts to her like the day either of or after. Okay, yes, go ahead.
Real quick. I'm sorry, because I thought we were talking about how she said Eric or Derek had did something.
And then you missed
but
it.
the guy who was looking at the fire, that's Quentin?
No. That person was just brought up by an EMT.
Okay.
But then during the court hearing, they did say that they did interview this person and he was ruled out.
Okay.
Okay.
But they interviewed the guy watching the fire?
Yes.
Or watching the car? Okay. All right.
Supposedly. I'm not 100% sure on that. I can't confirm that. But so then Quentin is a suspect. I mean, he's interest and then he becomes a suspect. Okay. So he denies being around her. He denies sleeping with her. And he also deleted all of her texts and everything. Mm-hmm. And so there's one part that the family's like, well, I mean, it's not like he could communicate with her anymore. So that's why he deleted everything. And I'm like, yeah, but I mean, you'd have to have a little bit more connection with, I mean, if you're sleeping with somebody.
Then I could see deleting it. Who you shouldn't be sleeping with, right?
Yeah.
Let me tell you, and I work in the IT field, Sandy. I deal with people who have the most ridiculous time deleting their emails. You're going to tell me that someone wasn't dating someone, so they deleted all their text messages? No freaking way. I have seen email boxes as big as
Texas.
As big as Texas. And then they argue with me about how they can't delete an email from 15 years ago. And I'm like, just archive it and get the box smaller. So I'm not going to buy someone saying that they broke up with someone so they deleted all their text messages.
Well, and then his family was like, well, she died, so there's no reason for him to have that. And I'm like, I've lost friends, but I've not deleted their messages.
Same here. In fact, I've printed their stuff off and I've been like, I'm just having a paper copy here, but that's just me.
So it's suspect, right?
Yes.
It's sus to me. So anyway, but you look at this guy and you're like, man, he didn't seem like a killer. He didn't look like a killer. You don't see it in his eyes, Anyway, so Quentin's arrested and he heads to court. Okay, so the prosecution introduces some damning cell phone evidence. And the expert explains that in rural areas, because of the cell phone towers, they don't ping correctly. In fact, it showed that her cell phone was actually pinging 2 miles off. So the expert is showing all these pings. And so what he does is he takes it upon himself to shift every single ping 2 miles over. And it actually places Jessica on Quentin Tellis's mom's house in that area. So it's like, man. And like, okay, so this guy's guilty, right? This guy's guilty. And but in a strange turn of events and something not introduced by the defense was another expert that points out Tellus's phone pings were not included in that in with
The
Jessica's
subpoena or
pings,
whatever.
in Jessica's pings. So they made it seem like Tellus's and Jessica's pings were together, but they were not. That was all just Jessica's stuff pinging. It wasn't actually his. So you're just like, why didn't the defense introduce this? Like, I feel like you're not.
Deceptively clever
It
for
was
one
very,
side.
very clever. And you're just kind of like, okay, God, I don't want the wrong man to be convicted. I know that they wanted to close the case, and I know that, you're just kind of that's what your fear. So anyway, Tellus's phones, the pings weren't included, and the particular expert was incorrect in what he was representing, basically. So while we're watching the back and forth and the guilty and the not, like we're going back, like he's like, we're guilty, he's not guilty. So Eric and I are both watching this. So another expert witness was a man that stated that there is no way that she could have enunciated Eric and Derek based on how badly burned her mouth was. And so 93% of her body, they said they could see in her mouth and it was black. And they just said there's just no way that she could have said what she said. So there was one man, one EMT, one firefighter who pretty much developed PTSD because of how bad. I mean, the guy's bawling hysterically. Like it's almost like he was childlike in his having to recount the events. He says that when he asked her, "Who are you?" she said Jessica Chambers, but because she couldn't speak correctly. And there's actually what's the word? An expert that comes on and says she couldn't have said it because of how badly burned her lungs were. Okay. I mean, there's just so much to that. Anyway.
But the human brain is interesting when it comes to things like that. So when you deal with trauma in any level, like the brain fills in things. Now, your brain can either fill in what it thinks it's hearing and stuff. And that could be as easy as him saying, I found out what her name was after. Check this out. This is crazy. You can find out a piece of information after the fact, after the event. And your brain does this weird thing where it actually fills in your memory gaps with that new piece of information.
Yes.
And so then it becomes your fact, your definite fact of what happened.
It becomes your reality.
Yes. And nothing anyone says, you're gonna be like, no, I absolutely heard her say, whatever you said her last name was. And so for him, he's convinced 100. If you took a lie detector test, actually aren't all that legit.
Admissible.
Yeah, they're not. They're ridiculous anyway. But you do all those things. That person absolutely believes whatever that new piece of information is existed in the past now. So,
and thank you for saying that, because all he said in the first part, because they have to go back to court twice. During the first court hearing, she said Jessica Chambers, and then in the second one, he added to it and said, "I'm gonna die," or "Am I gonna die?" But he didn't say that in the first one, which is kind of, did the brain fill in the gap for him? Kind of, what you were saying. So anyway, this whole court case just kind of took some twists and turns, kind of like Jameed was saying, it's complex. The jury does not understand the instructions that they have been given. Yes. So the judge comes back, they're all coming back into court. The judge asks, have they all agreed on a verdict? And the foreman says, yes, we have. And one lone juror speaks out and says, I voted guilty. And everybody's like, what? Everybody's just like shocked. And everybody's looking at each other and they're like, has this ever happened to anybody? Because they're celebrating they're not guilty. And then he's like, but I voted guilty. I just want y'all to know that that's what happened. So guess what?
What?
The attorney says, we're going to have to poll all these jurors. So it ends up, the confusion sends them back into deliberation, and they end up on a hung jury. Okay. So not a mistrial, not a guilty, not a not guilty. They're going back to court. So Quentin goes on trial again. Before the trial, though, an inmate calls the attorney, who happens to be Quentin's attorney, and tells them that the prosecuting attorney tried to get him to say that Quentin confessed to killing Jessica Chambers.
Man.
And listen, the judge calls the hearing and they listen to the inmate, but the judge doesn't believe what he's saying, and the prosecutor's allowed to continue with the case. So a new witness is called in for the prosecution, and she claims she gave Quentin a ride that evening, which would put him in the place of where Jessica was murdered and set on fire. But some of the witnesses even added in things that didn't testify in the previous hearing, but overall everything was like the same about it. So, like I said before, my fear while watching all of this was that an innocent man would go to jail because there's simply not enough evidence to convict them. And like I said before, I do understand that the family does want and absolutely needs closure, and somebody needs to be, punished for this. But based on what they show, you can't say that he did or he didn't do it. So anyway, the second hearing results in a hung trial. But this time the jurors did understand the assignment.
Oh my gosh.
But they did. So anyway, I got ahead of myself because I couldn't wait for the next episode, even though it's already released. So I started Googling, and I wanted to see what happened to Quentin Tellis and see if he'd actually ever been convicted. And this whole time, Quentin is actually talking on the phone. He's not on camera like everybody else. Okay. So it turns out that Quentin is actually serving a 10-year sentence for an illegal use of a credit card.
Really?
Yeah. And what's going on over there?
I don't know. I'm sorry. Could you hear that?
Yes, that's all it is. Santa's already on your roof.
Sorry about that. I don't know what that was.
So anyway, I did notice that he's currently locked up and he's speaking and he's incarcerated serving that 10-year sentence. But Quentin is also now suspected in killing Ming Chen Xiao, an international graduate student at the University of Louisiana in Monroe in 2015. Her body was discovered stabbed more than 30 times in order to force her to reveal the PIN to her debit card. Tellis has not been indicted in connection to that murder, but all the circumstantial evidence, such as the cell phone and ATM data, place him at the scene. So now I go back and revisit my original thoughts. If he's capable of one murder, is he guilty of another murder? I don't know. I mean, there's just so much. So Jameed says the only evidence that made sense was deleting the text, which is circumstantial. I mean,
wait, that made sense to you?
I don't know.
I mean, to Jameed, that made sense to you, Jameed?
No, I'm just saying, like, there's not enough. There's not enough to go on it. But now if you're like guilty of a second murder, or you're a suspect in a second murder.
Yeah, it's a totally separate case. It's
totally separate case. But if you're capable of one, are you capable of two? If you got away with one, you get cocky and you're going to go with two. CPJ said, was that all the bowling pins resetting? Jameed said, as an indication of his guilt. I guess that's what makes sense to him, that circumstance.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Sorry, Jameed. I was like, anyway, thanks for clearing that up.
I don't know. What do you think? I don't know if you've even heard of that, of Jessica Chambers, of that murder.
This is the first time I've heard of it, and it's terrible. There's so many things that I'm thinking on this, right? Like, okay, so again, just the whole psychology part of things, right? It's like someone tried to kill this woman. Like, there's the facts of this case are, she did not do this to herself.
Right.
She was lit on fire in a car.
Yes.
She survived. And
I mean, less than 24 hours. She died the next
I'm sorry.
day.
Yeah. She survived the initial accident or attempt or whatever else, right? Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, there's someone who had it out for her. There's someone who had it out for her. That's intense, right? This isn't just a stab or a gunshot or even a missing person kind of thing. This was like huge malice.
Like,
You know,
you
I like
set her on fire.
yeah,
You thought
like
she was dead maybe, and
that
then
was
you
huge. Like
that's a lot of
not
anger.
crime of yeah, like yeah, like they were trying to do some harm to this person,
Yeah.
even if she wasn't alive, like let's just say, and I hate to say best case scenario, even if they didn't know that she was alive, still to do that to a body, like when you burn a body, you know what I mean, like you're getting rid of
Every
everything
single evidence.
except the teeth, man.
Yeah.
Like even the bones will heat and go, you know what I mean, so it's just like
And then it
whoever.
turns out that they had sex, and he had been texting her, asking her for sex. So then it's like, did she deny him some sex? Is that why?
But man, it's one thing Sandy Talk Sheet has taught me. It's always sex or it's always money.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm,
always
girl.
one of those two. So I'm hesitant to fight against the grain on that because conventional wisdom would tell me no. There's more logical meaning to it, but your stories tell me that no, it's usually just passion. You
It's
know, you
passion.
want power and money, or it's about that feel good feeling, and then being denied the emotions that come up behind that override all rational thinking, and now you just want to cause physical harm to someone.
So CPJ says, I want to know Jessica's backstory to know why she was so hated to have such a hate crime put on her. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
and
what.
that's the
Yeah,
thing. So they lead you to believe that she was trying to better herself. She was trying to get out of the drug world. No more drugs, no more selling drugs. She wanted to be on the straight and narrow. And there are some indications that the people that she had been dealing with before thought that she might have been snitching, that she might have been working with the police because her dad worked at the police department, but he was just a maintenance man. It's not like he was an actual, on the police force. So, but anyway, I'll let you guys
okay.
watch it. It's super interesting. It's crazy. I'm going to be following that Quentin Tellis and see what happens in the Chen Xiao um,
Murder
murder. Yeah,
case.
because Yeah, because like I said, in that one, right now, all they have is circumstantial evidence as well. So, another case that I watched, and this one's gonna blow your mind, Jamie, because this like, I don't for sure there's not this is not anything to do with sex. So,
Okay.
okay. Joanne, sorry guys, I'm not following because I had an emergency across the street. So Sandy let me know what it was about. I totally will, Miss Joanne. But you're just in time for another one. Tell us again where we can see this. So this is on Hulu. This is the title of it, "The Killing of Jessica Chambers," and
Okay.
it's a six part six series, and you can. It's an easy watch. I say easy watch. I mean like you can watch it like
In one
on a
sitting
6 hour drive
on a weekend. Oh,
on a
okay, okay, okay.
weekend, 5 hour drive. Hey, Rodimus, how are you?
What's up, Rodimus? I was
I
just
love
hanging
that
out there.
your profile picture of your mama. I swear you look just like her.
That's
Okay,
a good thing.
so, in another case that I watched, this one was really wild. This one was titled Killer Brothers, and it's on Oxygen, okay?
I feel
So
like I've
there's
heard this one before. I feel like I've
you
watched the Fox show already.
you might have. So
Okay.
these two brothers, Chris Self and Orlando Romero, they terrorized Mead Valley. In fall of 92, 3 men were shot and killed, and another victim, which is an off-duty cop, was seriously wounded during a 2-month California crime spree, okay?
Okay.
So, the first 2 victims, Joey Mans, who was 26, and Timothy Kip Jones, who was 24, they were discovered by a routine helicopter patrol of the area. The men, who were both longtime best friends, had been gunned down execution style. One man's body was riddled with bullet wounds. And also in fall of 92, the body of Jose Aragon, 22, he was a college student and he was a competitive motorcyclist from Redlands, turned up in San Mateo Canyon near Beaumont. He was found in the bed of his truck. He'd been shot numerous times. One bullet entered his chin and exited through his helmet that he wore as he practiced for an upcoming motorcycle meet. So, at the time of the murder, detectives suspected that there may be a link between Aragon's murder and the killing of Mans and Jones, but they weren't 100%. So the crime scenes had a few things in common. They had the multiple shots, the 22 caliber casings, and those matched the other murders.
Okay.
So again, and this all happened like within 2 months span. On November 30th, John Feltenberger, who was an off-duty Ontario police sergeant, was shot during the carjacking of his 91 red Geo Metro. And this occurred in an isolated area late at night. Feltenberger did survive his wounds. So at the time of the shooting, Feltenberger was unarmed and not in uniform.
Okay.
This is what was kind of mind-blowing to me. A car pulled alongside his, and he pulls over to the side of the road. The man that's armed with a shotgun tells Feltenberger to get out of the car, and he complies, and he's like, nobody has to get hurt. Nobody has to get hurt. But here's what's crazy to me is he looks in his rearview mirror and he sees the guy coming, and he sees the rifle like reflect in like the light, and he doesn't like gun it. I don't know how fast a Geo Metro goes. I don't think it'll go that fast, but he doesn't take, he's a police officer. Like, why wouldn't he leave? Right?
Yeah. Maybe he thought he could save the day or something.
I
What year was
guess.
this in?
This was in 91. Wait, 91, 92. I mean, a Geo Metro at the most had one cylinder, I swear.
I mean, that's an itty bitty little thing. I had to make sure I knew what it would look like, but I was like, maybe I have something wrong, because maybe I was thinking, maybe the car was coming just too fast. And here's the thing: for a normal person, sometimes we don't know how to react to things. But in my mind, like as someone who's worked in the restaurant industry and the IT world, like those things, when I'm out and about, like those things, just my eyes just see them clearly. Or lots of things, I'm like, I know how to respond to that, or I know how to address that, right? I would think that someone who was in law enforcement of any kind, the training that they have that same thing where they're like, I see that and I know how to respond. I have my set responses that I've been trained to do. You know what I mean? And so,
Hi, Katrina.
So, like when you call Sandy and you're like, PC issues, my brain's already going through the several things that I know that are the top three things.
Unplug.
So it's odd for this guy to just be sitting there, see something, and be like, "I'm gonna just chill here for a minute."
He sees the rifle in the mirror. He clearly, I mean, that's one thing that he points out. He's like, I saw it in the thing. So I'm just like, well, maybe he just knew he could not run it in his Geo Metro. I mean, I don't know.
Or like I said, maybe he thought he was gonna save the day.
Yeah, maybe. So anyway, they do shoot him, and like I think like a lung gets punctured.
Ooh.
I can't remember where he gets shot, but he hijack his car. They take his car. He manages to crawl over into the neighborhood and call 911. Days later, they find his car, and in that car, they find Aragon's debit card. And so they go in there and they pull, I guess they find a receipt or something, but they go to an ATM and they find pictures of a person who used Aragon's debit card. So they link it to Jose, and thankfully Jose sings like a bird. So
Jose and I must be cut from the same tree.
Right. Jose's like, let me tell you everything.
I'm telling all y'all right now, if you have a secret you need, it's not so much that you can't tell me, but if it's on the side where it's going to hurt people, I'm going to give you like a couple hours for you to do what you need to do before I say something.
I'm itching to tell everybody.
Yeah.
Don't tell me your secret.
Like it's so hard. So for Sandy and I, it's so hard. So when you see us on Suds in the background when we talk before show and stuff, I'll be like, oh, something happened. I want to bring this up. And then we'll be like, tell us. And then she's like, wait, no, save for the show. No, wait, tell me. No, what's
I'm the worst. That's like when my kid, I'm like, I got you something for Christmas. He's like, why are you telling me? It's like, because I really want to tell you what it is.
Yeah, exactly. And so for those of you who don't know, I once got in trouble. I had cut school with a buddy of mine, went to my house, found out my mom was coming home, didn't expect that, and snuck out through the back door before she came in. She goes out there. I'm leaning in the alley. behind the fence, just holding so still. She comes out and she goes, "Jaime," and I said, "Yes, ma'am."
I bet no one ever wanted to skip school with you again.
So yeah, I can't keep a secret.
So, okay, back to Jose, the little singing birdie.
Yeah.
So he tells the detectives when he's being questioned, he said, "Okay, so here's what happened. I was there when they killed Aragon and they threatened me with my life. And so that's why I didn't say anything." But he says Orlando had a gun in his hand and he kept saying, "Someone's dying tonight." And Jose said it always seemed that Orlando was the one who called the shots on on who would die and who would live. And let's note that they alleged that they had a very abusive childhood. Anyway, so the brothers were tracked down. They were living in an abandoned home and making plans to flee to Mexico. The entire neighborhood walks out when the SWAT comes and and executes the warrant or whatever and finds them. They do try to run and shoot and get away, but they don't get away. The neighborhood comes out and cheers them on and clapping. I guess they'd been terrorizing the neighborhood. So 2 years later, the brothers are sentenced to death row. Orlando died in prison this last year due to complications of COVID. But there's these brothers. I guess they are brothers, but one of them had taken like the dad's last name or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The youngest brother seemed to always follow the oldest brother's leads, and so I guess he was just always trying to put on an act, or what's the word? I guess trying to please his brother. So, which is why he did the things that he did. But they were, I mean, can you imagine being that parent? Like, man, I raised one serial killer, but dang, now I've got two
Oh.
serial killers.
Oh my gosh. You reminded me of, who was the guy we talked about some time ago, where his mom was, hitting him in the head, and
Henry Lee Lucas,
is that
Ed
who it
Gein,
was?
Ed
Yeah.
Gein,
Okay.
Leatherface,
Shoot. I don't know,
because
Sandy, but I
they've all
remember there was
gotten hit
one.
in the head.
That's the other. Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, a lot of the ones we talked about, a lot of them have a lot of
They've got
traumatic
traumas.
traumatic brain injuries, more than likely. And we talked about that, right?
Yeah.
Because we said, I've shared about how, like, during those development ages, it's puberty. When puberty hits and as a child, your brain. So remember, until you're 26, your brain doesn't switch over to your higher functioning thing. So you're making a lot of decisions with your feelings. And people who get those traumatic brain injuries as they're young, or in puberty, their brain is rewired differently. So it
Right.
wired differently, and so that when their brains are supposed to kick off and use the amygdala to make your decisions, your higher functioning, higher reasoning decisions, it stays on the emotional side of things. Or no, amygdala is the emotional side. Frontal cortex is your higher thinking. So it stays in the amygdala, which is controlled by feelings. That's when kids get their temper tantrums. So these people, when they get their temper tantrums, they end up hurting people,
Right.
because that's it. I'm not saying we should feel sorry for them, or we shouldn't, or should or shouldn't. Just information to
But
know.
it just kinda gets you to thinking.
It does. That, right? The nurture nature, right? That's kind of how I look at it. When I see these killers, when I hear about their stories and stuff, there's a piece of me that, you're going to get what's coming to you. Like, justice needs to be fulfilled. I'm
Justice
not
needs to
saying
be
that.
served. I mean,
Yes,
you did what you did. You do have to pay for
yeah.
what you did.
But there is a piece that needs to be added into it, where it's like, we've got to understand how things worked out in their past, and see, if not for understanding in this case, to know for the next one, for
Mhm.
the next child out there. Like, there's a reason people, we need to be involved when there's people we see getting hurt, and it's none of our business per se. Like for my wife, for example, she's required by law to intervene when she sees a child being hurt, like, or someone who is going to give harm to themselves, or to someone else. Like, she's required by law to do it, and if she doesn't do it and something happens and they find out she was involved around or anything like that, then she gets in trouble for it also.
Right.
And that's kind of how, that's what I'm saying, is like, when we see these scenarios, like, we learn from them so that we know how to apply them later. And to me, it's always better to say something than not say anything if you see those
Right.
scenarios, because that kid may be the next Ed Gein or whatever.
Yeah.
If you don't say
Leatherface.
anything, Leatherface.
Henry
Yeah,
Lee Lucas.
the Night
There's so
Stalker.
many. The Night Stalker. I mean, pretty much everybody that we've talked about comes from some sort of traumatic background.
Yeah, and I don't think
And that
you
doesn't mean because you have a traumatic background, you're gonna be a serial killer. There's
right.
just, you know,
But it's the higher that's the chances. You just get a
right,
higher chance of that. So if we can limit that or help that out, which I know a lot of times we're against any kind of helpful services. Help me, how do I say that again? Not helpful services, but like instead of prison, we get upset sometimes when they're like, what
oh,
they got
mental health
yeah, they went to a mental health hospital instead when they should have
because
been in
they pled
prison.
insanity or something.
Right. And some of them,
Some of them do milk it.
yeah,
I mean,
right. But I'm also believing that they should it should be brought up. Now, whether they get it or not, that's not for me to decide, but it
right.
should be brought up.
So, anyway, again,
Sorry.
that one was on Oxygen, and that was Killer Brothers. I don't know. I just feel sorry for those parents that had to raise 2 serial killers.
Well, doesn't it make you wonder though, like what kind of parents were they also
Yeah,
though?
yeah,
Like not for these guys maybe, but you know what I mean? Like the next one. Like that
right.
whoever it was we were talking about previously, that his mom and his dad, right? His mom was beating his dad and him.
Yeah, well, dad
And
was
she
like an
and
alcoholic or something.
she was having him do crazy things to her, remember?
Yeah,
Bathing her and stuff, and it was just like, huh?
yeah. Ugh.
Well, it was the 1920s, so
Alright.
they
They didn't have
I don't know.
they didn't have shower heads. Hey, John Harville, thanks for hopping over here tonight. Appreciate
Hey,
you
John.
joining us.
Thanks for joining the madness.
Yes. So, that's all I've watched. I'm gonna shift over now to local
Dun dun
headlines.
dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Lubbock has gone viral and not for good things once again. So, let's see. This I saw a hashtag and this made me go down a rabbit hole. The hashtag said hashtag justice for Chad.
Okay.
And there I go because some of my Facebook friends and some of the acquaintances that I have on there started sharing um these posts of a man and all it said was justice for Chad. And then I had seen on KCBD local man shot. I didn't put two and two together until I started seeing justice for Chad. And I'm just gonna tell you, I don't have a horse in this race. I'm just reporting what I've seen, but I also want to delve just a little bit into some of these laws that people are throwing around here to
Okay.
justify, okay, to
Okay.
justify this killing. I'm gonna give you a little bit of the background, okay?
Please do,
Also,
because
too,
I'm outside looking in, so I'm up here in Illinois. I don't get to enjoy all the fruits that are in Lubbock
so
daily.
just be warned. There is a video. There's 2 videos actually that have been released by attorneys, okay? The attorney of, Chad's wife and also the Ring doorbell video. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so you have Chad Reed, who is deceased. Man, some online strips without clothing just keeps coming in here and commenting. I've blocked
Sorry.
it. I've
Okay.
blocked it. No, you're good. You're good. So we have
Okay. You
Chad
got
Reed,
okay.
who's deceased, and we have Kyle Caruth that shot Chad Reed.
Okay. He
Okay.
shot him. Okay.
Kyle shot Chad. Okay. Yeah. So, um, the attorneys, again, like I said, have released the videos. One is alleging self defense, and the other is saying it was cold blooded murder. The
Okay.
video is out every single where. It's on TikTok, it's on Good Morning America. If you just type in Lubbock murder, that's probably what's gonna come up. I'm not gonna show it to you tonight. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not for the faint of heart. It's very graphic. It will chill you to your core to
I'm
watch this man die.
glad you
Okay?
said that because I totally was opening YouTube
No,
and gonna go search for it, but not
no.
anymore.
I caution you to watch it at your own risk. Okay, so let me see. CPJ says, "Ooh, let's get it. Eek. I watched that Chad video. My mind is blown." I'm telling you,
How
this is
did you
something
guess,
else.
CPJ?
So, the video was recorded and released by Jennifer Reed, Chad's current wife. On November 5th, Chad Reed was shot and killed in an argument with Kyle Carruth. Kyle allegedly is involved with Chad's ex-wife, Christina, who is also the mother of Chad's children. Reed was at the Carruth home to pick up his son for visitation. Chad and Kyle begin to argue on the porch. Carruth tells Reed that his son isn't home, and a clearly irate Chad is yelling at Christina, the ex-wife, that he has a court order to pick him up at 3:15. A little bit more in depth of the background that I've seen. Supposedly, Chad's son was sick. Chad was not told that the son was not in school. And so therefore he didn't know not to go pick him up at the Carruth home. So these guys are arguing. Kyle walks back into his house and comes out with a weapon. Chad, of course, is getting more and more irate. He does say that he's threatening to out the affair because Kyle Carruth is married to Anne Marie Carruth, who was just recently appointed judge here in town. And so he wants to out the affair. He wants to subpoena everybody, but he's angry because he can't see his son. And let me just get on a soapbox for a little bit, because women who keep their children from their father really piss me off. You bitter heifers, you don't know how much damage you do to these children. Okay? You're mad. You're using these children as a pawn in your scheme. Whatever it is, you are messing up your children. There are some instances when children shouldn't be with their fathers.
But
I'm
you're
not
not
saying
talking
that
about those.
I'm not talking about those instances. I'm talking about the fathers who genuinely want to see their children and women keep the children from them. That shit just pisses me off so bad. And the laws are not built to protect fathers in this situation.
That's
And
across the board, everywhere.
and it's very upsetting. And so I can see where he wanted to be with his son. She keeps saying, "Well, I want to spend more time with him."
With
Well,
who?
what
Who's him?
Christina in the video says, "Well, I want to see him more." And he's like, "You can see him up until 3:15. If you really wanted to see your kid, where were you? Why wasn't he with you?" Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
let me step off my soapbox, because I'm telling you that shit just pisses me off. Like,
No, I
all of
want to
this
get on
could have
too real quick. Let me
all
get
of
on
this
real
could have
quick.
been avoided. Go ahead.
So I've met several. On the other side, I've met more men who've been divorced. And of course, I don't know the whole story, but I'm speaking to what I've seen personally.
Mhm.
I've met more men who have been like, who seem to be like good fathers and want to be involved, but they are not able to be involved as much as they want to. And I've hung out with some of these men solo time and whatnot and been like, yeah, I don't see it. I'm not saying they're putting on a show or they're not, but just based on what I see, I'm like, I do see like you're actually trying to be a good dad and you want to be involved. But I mean, to enough to the point where they've been like, will you come with me to my ex-wife's because I can't do anything. I'm just trying to be above reproach. And I'm like, dang, man,
Yeah.
like just to pick up your kids. And he's like, yeah, I'm sorry. I understand if you don't. And I'll be like, of course. I mean, yeah, but it's just rough. So
Yeah, it's rough, and like I said, in this video, because I don't know Chad personally, I don't know Kyle Carew, I don't know any of them personally. I just know that had she just had the son there at 3:15, like his freaking court order said, all of this shit could have been avoided. No one would be dead right now had she, as a mother, had her son present for his visitation. That's all you
child
had to
would
do.
not be fatherless right now.
Child would not be fatherless. Exactly. So anyway, um, where was I? Because I just got so angry.
Sorry. You were
No.
talking about how
Oh,
so they were in the altercation or whatever, right?
yes. So Kyle
He
goes
went in
into
the
the house,
house.
produces a gun,
Mhm.
and he fires a warning shot. So at this point, Chad, who is significantly bigger then Kyle grabs the gun and kind of just swings him around. That's when Kyle points and shoots. And the wife that's recording does, from what I've heard now, does not realize what's happening. She thinks that he's been stunned, like he's got a stun gun and he's just out with the stun gun, because the gun isn't loud in the video. He actually, I believe he had a silencer on the gun. So it just sounds like a pop. And so she doesn't go hysterical. No one's yelling, call 911, because they really don't know what's going on. The ex-wife, who clearly is aware of what's going on, does nothing either in this instance. She's just kind of off over here. The whole thing, like I said, is upsetting. And so what Facebook is throwing out is all of these like stand your ground laws, you know, and I took the time to read on some of these stand your ground, because that is actually, I took, when I took my CHL class, that was one of the things, the very first thing that they ask you. Are you prepared to shoot someone if they come into your home with the intent to harm you?
CHL?
Your concealed handgun license.
Oh, okay.
So when you take a class to get your license, that's one of the very first things that was asked. Are you prepared to shoot somebody in defense that they're breaking into your house and either hurt you or hurt your family? So yes, I am. I am prepared to shoot somebody, just because I know that it's either going to be me dead or him dead, but you're not coming in. And so I'm okay with this law, because that's my understanding of it. So in Texas, the use of deadly force is only justified when and to the degree the actor reasonably believes that deadly force is immediately necessary to protect against another's unlawful use of deadly force or to prevent the imminent commission of specific violent felonies. Okay.
That's a lot of words.
It is a lot of words. So the use of deadly force in defense of property is justified only when immediately necessary to prevent the imminent commission of serious crimes like arson, burglary, or robbery. Note, trespassing is not included. You can't shoot or threaten to shoot trespassers without more. Texas considers the threat of force and the use of force to be the same, except for an explicit provision that producing a weapon is fine as long as the purpose is limited to creating an apprehension that he will use deadly force if necessary. So it's a thin line between I'm taking a gun to ward off a trespasser just in case I'm attacked, and I'm unlawfully telling a trespasser I will shoot for trespassing, threatening to shoot him if he doesn't leave my property, which I can't do. Finally, a person employing deadly force must not have provoked the situation in which he was otherwise justified in employing deadly force. So, I'm not saying that this is like going to be, what am I trying to say? Like that this is going to show that Kyle is guilty. I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you what the Texas law reads and how it could be seen that it was not justifiable in this instance.
Right. So you have to, but the burden is on the prosecution to say he was not in danger for using the weapon, I guess, then, right? So then they have to be able to prove that this law doesn't apply to this scenario.
Correct.
Maybe. I'm not in there, so I'm not seeing the headlines daily and stuff like that, but if they have video on this, then that means
there's video. And so, I mean, and everybody has dissected this video. Everybody's looking at it. There's theories that they knew that this was going to happen, that they set him up for this. There's someone that's like, I've watched this enough times to see she backs up off the porch, like she knows what's going to happen. I just feel like, and this, again, these are just my thoughts, my personal feelings.
You own your own feelings, girl. You do.
That, if somebody comes at my ex with a gun, as much as I can't stand him, I don't wish death on him. You know what I'm saying? But That's just my personal feelings. I don't know this lady from Adam. I don't know any of these people from Adam. I just know that I have some acquaintances in common with them. But let me read CPJ's comments. She said, "Yes, just because you and homeboy aren't in mattress dancing anymore doesn't mean you're so special that you get to ruin a lifelong bond. I hate women like that. The Lord needs to work on my heart in this area." I'm the same way, Carrie. I cannot stand a bitter heifer that uses her children. I cannot. Number 2, it is a felony to deny the other parent child visitation against the court order. It is. And you know how many times this happens? I mean, how many times people fail to prove or, do the whole swap thing. Anyway, so back to this thing. Chad wasn't a random person showing up on the property for no reason.
Right.
It's the ex-husband of a woman that the married shooter is having an affair with, who's there because the ex-wife knowingly failed to abide by a court-ordered custody agreement. And do you deserve to die for that?
So my question to you is, do you feel, not what the law says or anything like that, but you're feeling right now, do you feel like the 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 guy with the rifle is responsible? Should he be held accountable, or does mom, ex-wife, get held accountable for this scenario?
Listen, when I initially on this, and I guess basically through this whole thing, I feel like the blood is on that lady's hands. She knowingly had him go out there to pick up a child,
that
and then
she
not
knew
even
wasn't there,
and then didn't even tell him, "Oh, by the way, he's not even here." You let him
where
in that
was the poor
situation.
kid in all this situation to
Yeah,
begin with?
supposedly he was home sick at home. No
And
idea
why
where home
wasn't
is.
she with him?
Exactly. Why was she yelling, "Oh, I want to spend more time with him," but you weren't spending more time with him, instead you're with your lover?
Sorry.
See, I mean, I can't do it. But it all of this is sickening. No one needed to die. And I don't know. It's heartbreaking, I'll tell you that much. He'd only been remarried for 2 months. Yeah.
So was the guy it sounds a little staged in a way too, right?
I mean, there's lots of theories. Like I said, there's lots of theories out there that it could have been
I mean, the
like he
guy
was
had a
lured out there.
gun.
The
There was
son
no
wasn't there.
kid. Yeah. Silencer.
Yeah. So John says it sounds like the guy got set up.
I'm
John,
feeling that,
I
John.
mean, it is. It's a very unfortunate and sad
Like,
situation.
like she didn't pull the trigger, but she kind of did though. By
She didn't stop him.
orchestrating everything.
She did not stop him and say, "Hey, put that up. There's no need for that."
Well, but you said earlier she thought it was a
No. I'm saying the ex-wife. The ex-wife could have told the boyfriend, "Hey, there's no need for that. Put that up." You know what I'm saying?
Oh, but I thought earlier you said she thought that she didn't do anything because she thought
The
it was a.
current wife that was in the
Oh,
car
okay.
filming thought it was a stun gun.
Okay, now I'm following. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying.
Gotcha.
So CPJ says she manipulated the situation enough to get her little boyfriend to do her dirty work. Dad told boyfriend multiple times he was speaking with her, not him. He went and got a gun. Yeah. You gonna read that one again?
Sorry, I just have to make sure I understand it. Okay. Oh, okay.
And honestly, let me just tell you this. The shit is between the mom and the dad. Step
Get
your
to
way on
stepping.
out.
Yep.
You ain't got nothing to do with this. This is not your it's none of your business. I'm sorry.
You know what?
It's
So
not.
guilty pleasure of mine, Sandy. So when I see that, I do love reading the Reddit stories and watching the shows, even when it's made up. When like the mom and dad are having an argument and the boyfriend comes in and tries whatever, but then it could be either one. But then the mother turns around and is like and puts them in this place, like, I don't need your help. This doesn't have anything to do with you. This is between us and our kids. So step off. And the guy's always like, wait, but I'm trying to stuff for you. And he's just like, dude, just go. Just shut up. Just sit down.
You always say,
Not your kid.
I'm talking to the owner of the pigs, not the pigs. So John says murder one and accessory to murder, both going to be doing some prison time. So John, let me just throw in this because you're not from this area. So let me just tell you this. He's a prominent figure in this town. And so that's another speculation that he might not even face any time.
Oh, that's right, John. So I didn't know this either, John, because I'm up here in Illinois, although I'm from Lubbock. But if you heard Sandy at the beginning of the story, he's married to a local judge.
Okay, so that's already the divorce has been processed.
Oh, they fast tracked that, didn't they?
They put that on fast track.
She was like, "Hurry up and get me my scissors."
Yes. So, but I mean, it's one of those things. Like it might not even ever. It'll be buried under paperworks and dockets, and I mean, I don't know, but these people are trying really hard to get justice for him, and now he's with us. Oh, that changes a lot of things. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because if it had been me and Jamie,
boy,
we'd be on the express track ourselves.
And be like,
what's your hell?
Yeah. Be like, we got a nice place for y'all over there. Anyway, I won't say.
So let's see. It's totally different situation if Eric were to step in for Sandy or me step in with Matt. We have over a decade bonus parenting. This fool doesn't even know how she likes her eggs yet. And you're right, CPJ. But I've always told Eric, unless it escalates to anything, I would never want him to step in any of that. Like, I don't want him to have any part of that drama.
Right. But not that he can't, but you just want to spare him from.
I would not want to put him in that. Yeah. Minimal drama for him. Because,
I get that. Mm-hmm. I know when I've had something like that and I've asked friends, I'm like, don't step in. It's not that I don't want you to step in for, that you're not capable or anything like that. It's like, for me, I just don't want things to be even more volatile than they are. And honestly, I'm like, I don't want you to have to be in anyone's crosshair. Not saying because you can't handle it. It's just I just don't want that for him. Sleep with that. I don't want to feel that, man. Now my loved one is in the battle royale also, and and I know you and you can handle yourself. It's just not about that. It's just want you just to go on living life good and not have to worry about these things over here. So
So anyway, like I said, it's still unraveling. I don't know what'll happen, but it'll definitely be interesting to follow for sure. And I do hope that there is justice. I mean, I'm sorry. There is no reason that this should have happened.
None.
Reason.
And there needs to be, the guy who's no longer here anymore. Like, obviously he paid the ultimate price. The next person who pays the ultimate price is his son now, who's got to live with this and everything. And so, if the worst case scenario happens for the ex-wife, then now that child's without both parents.
Yeah.
And I get, and that's why I've watched this YouTube video. The short keeps popping up in my feed occasionally, Sandy. And it's the one where I think Judge Judy, no, not Judy, whatever, one of the other judges, she's about to read off, she's doing Maury's skit, right? Who's the father or not the father? And she's got both the parents and both the panels. And then she's in the middle and she's reading and she says, Mr. John, you are not the father. And then the woman on the side, she's like, yeah, I told you, yeah. But the father, the guy over there on that side, like, he is just one of those slow, quiet, just tears are just falling down his face. Like, he just got red news. He's broken and he's, you know what I mean? And so she's like, you shut up. Now you're over here cheering because a man who loved your daughter just found out it's not his daughter and will never be in her life.
Okay,
And
so I've
you
seen
are,
her.
oh,
Yes,
you know
she's
what I'm talking about?
amazing. Yes, when she
Oh,
does her, I mean, she lets them parents have it because
yes.
she's a child support one. She's like, wait, you work and you don't want to pay?
She
And
could,
yeah, I like her a whole lot.
yes, I do too. So, but
So
that, oh man, I'm like, jeez.
John says that's gonna be under the rug. Hopefully, of course, somewhere else will pick it up so there isn't any preferential treatment going on. I know there
But
definitely will have to be a change of venue.
can you do that though?
There's been 2 judges already that have recused themselves from this.
Sandy, you need to find a
They can
lawyer.
change the
We need to bring a criminal lawyer on the show so we can ask him about stuff like
them fools will
this.
be charging me by the hour.
I'll tell him it's free publicity. I
Mhm.
mean, you're internationally known, Sandy.
It's
Come
a
on.
commercial. It's a commercial for
It's an
you people.
hour-long commercial for them.
Yeah.
Jeez. And
Gosh.
everyone will ask questions in the comments. They're all gonna say something. So,
Yeah, we'll put your number down in case we ever need you.
yeah.
Guerrilla law
If
firm.
any of y'all know if any of y'all know a criminal attorney, is that what they're called even? Criminal attorney? Anyway,
Get
let
away
us
from me,
know.
criminal. Anyway, I'm so glad I came back on and did this.
I'm too.
I'm
It's
trying
good
to
seeing you on
think.
here.
I know it's so good to be talking sheet. I don't know what next Thursday is, what next Thursday will hold. You'll know I'm last minute. So,
Yeah, if any of y'all wanna come on with her or have some topics,
yes.
yell at her, tell
And
her,
if
say,
y'all been
"Hey."
watching something or you want me to watch something true crime, don't try to make me watch no movies
Yeah, she
because
doesn't
I ain't
like the
trying.
fiction stuff.
I don't be giving me no fiction, no
It needs to
pulp
be
fiction.
for it needs to be the legit stuff.
Yeah,
Um, so
the
never mind,
strong
I'll
arm.
ask you off.
But anyway, okay. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed sheet talking with you guys. If you have any cases that you want me to watch, for sure, I'll definitely watch them. And like I said, I'll let you know last minute if I'm coming on or not. Make sure you subscribe to my reminders.
Okay.
Anyway, John, CPJ, Rod, everybody that hopped in here, TC, you guys have a good night. And we
See
will holler
everyone.
at you.
Good
Bye.
night.